What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Roger Report. We're kicking things off with a story that's got the college football world buzzing. Ole Miss quarterback Trinidad Chambliss is drawing comparisons to NFL legends Baker Mayfield and Russell Wilson, with ESPN analysts and head coach Lane Kiffin himself seeing shades of greatness in his game. Could this be the next big thing under center for the Rebels? Next up, we're diving into the NFL, where the pressure is on. New York Giants quarterback Russell Wilson is facing a do-or-die situation in Dallas. With history not on his side and a struggling offense, will Wilson be able to turn things around, or is his time as the starter running out? Then, we're heading back to the college ranks and looking at NFL alumni making waves. We've got a deep dive into the key matchups featuring Wolfpack players in Week 2, including how former stars are performing and what it means for their teams as the season heats up. And finally, for all you fantasy football fanatics, we're breaking down Russell Wilson's Week 2 outlook. We've got the latest on his injury status, start him or sit him advice, and crucial point projections to help you dominate your league. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and follow us on all social platforms to stay in the game. We'll see you next time. Ole Miss QB Trinidad Chambliss is lighting up the stat sheet and drawing comparisons to NFL royalty. ESPN's broadcast crew, including analyst Dusty Dvorak and sideline reporter Taylor McGregor, noted that Lane Kiffin's staff sees echoes of both Baker Mayfield and Russell Wilson in Chambliss's electrifying play. This buzz isn't just coming from the booth. Kiffin himself has been vocal about these similarities since Chambliss arrived. Chambliss, who transferred to Ole Miss from Ferris State after winning a DII national championship, has been betting on himself, and it's paying off early. He arrived with a mentality of embracing competition and trusting his work ethic. In Saturday's game against Arkansas, at the time of publishing, Chambliss was shredding the defense, completing 21 of 27 passes for 357 yards and 2 touchdowns, while also adding 34 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns on 10 carries. Ole Miss held a commanding 38-28 lead entering the fourth quarter. Despite a brief scare with a hand injury that required glue in the second quarter, Chambliss impressively returned before halftime to engineer a crucial field goal drive, putting the Rebels up 31-28. His college performance last season was stellar, with 2,925 passing yards and 26 touchdowns, complemented by 1,019 rushing yards and 25 touchdowns. The college football community is buzzing, with fans eager to see if Chambliss can maintain this level of play and lead Ole Miss to success. Analysts are already debating his potential NFL trajectory, drawing parallels to established stars like Mayfield and Wilson. Will Trinidad Chambliss live up to the legendary comparisons? Find out next as we break down the high-stakes NFL showdown, where Russell Wilson fights to keep his starting job. History is looming as the New York Giants prepare for a critical Week 2 matchup against the Dallas Cowboys. With the Giants staring down the barrel of an 0-2 start, the pressure is immense, reminiscent of Eli Manning's struggles nearly 6 years ago. Now, it's Russell Wilson, a quarterback with a Hall of Fame pedigree, fighting to hold onto his starting role amidst whispers of a potential first-round pick waiting in the wings. Wilson himself projects an air of confidence, stating, "I think that you embrace challenge. I don't think I run from challenges. My confidence never blinks." However, the reality of the Giants' offensive struggles in Week 1 is stark. They managed only 231 total yards and converted just 25% of their third downs, ranking 28th in the NFL. Wilson's 4.5 yards per pass was the fourth lowest, and the team's rushing attack was anemic. Under head coach Brian Daboll, the Giants have an unfortunate streak of opening the season without a touchdown in 3 consecutive openers, a feat not seen since the 1940s. Despite offensive coordinator Mike Kafka's optimism about improvements in the red zone and on third downs, the team needs to show, not just tell. The Cowboys, even without top cornerback Deron Bland, present a formidable challenge. Dallas stifled Saquon Barkley last week, and Wilson, at 36, lacks the mobility to escape pressure as effectively as others. Furthermore, the Giants have a notoriously poor record against Dak Prescott, who has won 13 consecutive games against them. The Giants' pass rush needs to be disruptive, and their offensive line must provide adequate protection against a strong Cowboys front. Fans and analysts are watching closely. If Wilson falters, the calls for rookie quarterback Jackson Dart to take over will undoubtedly grow louder. Brian Daboll acknowledged the situation, stating, "We're doing everything we can do each week to develop Jackson." Can Russell Wilson and the Giants defy the odds and secure a much-needed win? Stick around as we explore another NFL story, highlighting the alumni making their mark on the league. Week 2 of the NFL season is here, and the Pac Pros are ready to make their mark across the league. This week, we're spotlighting key matchups featuring former NC State Wolfpack players. From linebackers making tackles to quarterbacks leading their offenses, these alumni are crucial components of their respective teams as the season gains momentum. In Pittsburgh, linebacker Peyton Wilson had a solid, if not spectacular, debut, recording 5 tackles, a tackle for loss, and a quarterback hit. However, the Steelers' defense struggled against the run, and Wilson received a less-than-stellar defensive grade from Pro Football Focus. Now, they face the Seattle Seahawks in their home opener, aiming to stay undefeated. Meanwhile, the New York Giants' quarterback situation remains a focal point. Reports suggest that teams are scouting rookie Jackson Dart, indicating a potential quarterback change if veteran Russell Wilson continues to struggle. Wilson's Week 1 performance was underwhelming, with a low completion percentage and yards per attempt, leading to questions about his long-term starting status. On the offensive line front, Carolina's Ikem Ekwonu, their starting left tackle, is questionable for their matchup against the Arizona Cardinals after recovering from an emergency appendectomy. His absence was felt in their Week 1 loss. In Las Vegas, receiver Hunter Mayers has seemingly embraced the Raiders' revamped offense under new head coach Pete Carroll and offensive coordinator Chip Kelly. Mayers had a strong showing in Week 1, catching 8 passes for 97 yards, putting aside his previous trade request. Fans are encouraged to follow at Wolfpack on C and at Senate Tucker on X, formerly Twitter, for ongoing updates, and to like the Wolfpack on Facebook to stay informed about their favorite alumni. Will these former Wolfpack stars continue to shine in Week 2? Don't go anywhere, because next we're diving deep into the fantasy football implications of Russell Wilson's Week 2 outlook. Fantasy managers, get ready for Week 2 as we break down the critical fantasy outlook for New York Giants quarterback Russell Wilson. Wilson is expected to play and is not on the injury report for the Giants' matchup against the Dallas Cowboys. However, his leash is reportedly very short following a dismal Week 1 performance where his yards per carry actually exceeded his yards per pass. The question isn't just if he'll play, but how long he'll remain effective or even the starter. Last season, the Giants leaned heavily on the pass against Dallas due to a non-existent run game, with Daniel Jones attempting 40 passes. While volume can be a fantasy savior, Jones only managed QB 24 numbers. This projection hangs over Wilson for Week 2, with fantasy projections sitting at a modest 7.6 PPR points. Projections indicate Wilson could throw for around 98 yards and 0.7 touchdowns, with 0.2 interceptions, adding a mere 8 rushing yards and 0.1 touchdowns. Beyond his potential volume, there's little reason for optimism, making him a risky play unless you're in a deep league or desperate. For any other fantasy needs, check out the Week 2 Start Sit M article. On a positive note for the Giants' offense, Dallas's top cornerback Deron Bland is out, which might open up some opportunities. However, the Giants' offensive line remains a concern, and Wilson's declining mobility at 36 makes him vulnerable to the Cowboys' pass rush, which pressured opposing quarterbacks heavily in Week 1. The game will be played indoors in a dome, so weather is not a factor, with comfortable temperatures expected. Will Russell Wilson bounce back and deliver fantasy points, or is it time to look elsewhere? That wraps up our news for today, but stick around for a rapid-fire recap of all the biggest stories. And that's a wrap on today's top stories. We saw Ole Miss QB Trinidad Chambliss drawing Baker Mayfield and Russell Wilson comparisons, the high-stakes NFL battle for Russell Wilson's job with the Giants in Dallas. a look at Wolfpack alumni making their mark in the NFL, and your essential fantasy football breakdown for Russell Wilson's Week 2 outlook. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the Roger Report for all your sports news, hit that notification bell so you never miss an update, leave a comment with your thoughts on these stories, and follow us on all our social media channels. We'll catch you next time.